Colin Morris is this afternoon's referee. Halifax with Damien Gibson, ex-Castleford, at full-back. James Haley, James Bunyan, Anthony Blackwood and Ricky Sharif, the three-quarters. Wayne Corcoran and Pat Wisner, the half-backs. Still no Dean Lawford. Andy Hobson, Ben Fisher and Jason Bull, the front row. David Larder, Andy Spink and Damien Baldwin, his second appearance at the back of the scrum. Jamie Bloom, Chris Morley, Ryan McDonald and Ferretti Tuilange are on the bench. And Castleford kick off, and Sharif is forced over the in goal after a right mix up there behind the line as the ball dropped from the kick-off. Castleford this afternoon, Michael Platt, full-back, return after a match suspension. Wayne Price, Dion Bird, John Epworth and Michael Shenton, the three-quarters. Andy Kane and Brad Davis are the half-backs. Adam Wattini, Anthony Anderson, Richard Fletcher, the front row. Tommy Hockey, Craig Hubey and Steve Crouch, the back of the scrum. Andy Bailey, Byron Smith, Paul Andleforth and Jordan James on the bench. And Castleford first attack at the Halifax line, something they probably wouldn't have expected after kicking off, but such a big mistake behind that Halifax line has given Castleford the upper hand as Kane joins into the line at the Shea, where they lead 6 points to nil. And that is a nightmare for Anthony Farrell's men. And Wisner will kick off long and deep. Wattini underneath it behind his own line. He drives the ball out. This is the other one. Adam Wattini played in the cup tie, and it's Frank that's playing this afternoon. Been around the grounds a bit as Frank. And Castleford almost up to the 40 already. And Davis goes for the 40-20. Colin Morris picked out Frank Wattini for opening his mouth. I'm not sure it was directed at the referee. He's had a couple of things to say already as Big Frank to one or two Halifax players. In that last tackle he got up and had a look at Andy Spink. So an immediate opportunity for Pat Wisner to put points on the board for Halifax. Well, it's certainly a shock to the system for Castleford, unbeaten in League and Northern Wales Cup football this season. Just that one defeat in 13 matches at the Shea, and they've run in some pretty big scores of Castleford in the Northern Wales Trophy. In league football they don't look just as convincing, and the defensive frailties are there. They've conceded over 20 points in all but one of the 5 league matches so far this season, and that's a huge drop out after Wisner misses the opportunity to get Halifax's first points on the board, and Spink tries to return with interest, gets to the 30-metre line. Gibson trying to make yards from acting half, something that Castleford will be well aware of. Fisher to David Larder, Halifax over halfway. Larder into two, gets up, quick service from Fisher to Wisner to Hobson, and Hobson carries the ball over the 40 on the last tackle. Fisher looks up, puts boot to ball, but will be too much behind that one as Wayne Price watches it over the in-goal line. And Dion Bird, another much travelled player in this Castleford side, began his Super League career with Paris Saint-Germain. Dion Bird, who has been at Gateshead, Adelaide, Hull, Widnes and Wakefield along the way. And Halifax being pushed back by the strength of the Castleford attack, getting over the advantage line. Wattini goes on, looked like a forward pass. Touch judge stopped to indicate it then, but seemed to change his mind. And they come back to the short side with the kick from the standoff. Andy Kane will go touching goal. And Gibson tried to get it back quickly. Bunyan only making 7 or 8 metres. Blackwood into Dion Bird, put down fairly easily. Up comes Sharif from acting half, gets away from the second rower. All wrapped up by Watine. 5 metres short of halfway. Andy Hobson driving the ball up. And that's good tackling on Hobson. He's driven to the ground. Larder comes on the inside ball. Last tackle, and once again Halifax are only just into that Castleford 40 metre area as Wisner puts one off the outside of the boot. And Michael Halifax will try unsuccessfully to get it back over that line. Blackwood quickly to make the tackle. Keep Castleford near their own line, perhaps hunting the mistake. Price trying to help out the forward and almost underneath the first tackle there. It's Hobson that stopped him. Good defending on Richard Fletcher, recent signing for David Woods. Castleford move the ball out wide. Numbers there in defence for Halifax again. That's tremendous stint there as the hand is raised from Colin Morris to indicate the last tackle. And Castleford are forced to kick again, but the ball's down into the Halifax 20 metre area, and the chasers there as well for Castleford. Good chase from Craig Hubert, highly rated second rower, as Sharif fancies another run at the Castleford defence. Blackwood shows the ball inside, takes it over halfway and attracts 2 defenders to him. Haley coming across from the other side of the field and not making too many yards before he's clamped by the Castleford defence. Now back with Larder, who runs in strongly. Last tackle again, Halifax once again just over that 40 metre line. Contests Price out, and Price has to carry the ball back over his own line. Defence there again for Halifax, but Price quickly goes down on the floor so he's not pushed back over the try line. And Michael Platt takes the ball on the outside. All those Halifax forwards waiting for the runs up the middle from the big men. And now Davies opts for a wider run, and that's a high tackle from Larder. Lazy arm from the Halifax second rower. And Davies is quick to put the ball into Halifax territory. Castleford with 6 in the bag. Watine round the back. Kane long ball out to Davies, and Davies getting on in years but almost stepping the Halifax defence there. Henderson going through. Halifax missed the tackle again, and it's Ben Fisher that's missed that one. It's not like the Halifax hooker, but Henderson went for the kill on its opposite number. And Anthony Henderson has increased Castleford League second attack at the Halifax line, and a second 4-pointer. This time for the number 9 Henderson. Well, it's a perfect start, and Halifax look as though they're continuing at the moment where they left off against Barrow last week, despite winning. It wasn't the most stylish and attractive of wins, but they're not going to build on it the way they're playing at the moment. But Castleford going forward over the advantage line with every single play of the ball, and rewarded again as the lead is doubled in Castleford's favour. It's Halifax 0, Castleford Tigers 12. Well, not even 12 minutes gone yet. So a point a minute for Castleford. And Fletcher underneath it for the Tigers. And there's appeals once again for high tackle there. There could be a bit of frustration creeping in already for Halifax. As Price drives it forward. Martini went as the dummy runner. Castleford appealing that the man's being held down. And once again Davies pushes the ball down into Halifax territory. Sharif looks up, he has 5 defenders in front of him. He doesn't even make it to the defence as he goes down before he hits them. Fisher trying to take advantage of a man offside as he does so often. Gibson gives it to Fisher again. Fisher to Wisner. Bolts. It's the pass off Wisner, drives it forward up towards halfway. Gibson goes from acting half, turns it inside to Hobson. Hobson skips through two, tries to stand and releases the ball to Fisher. And the ball came off a Castleford hand. Fisher was held back, but Platt recovers the situation for the Tigers. He was trying one pass too far there, Halifax. Now trying to number up in defence. There's quick tackling on Hepworth. Hubie driving it forward over the 40 metre line. 3 Halifax tacklers. Watini hits it up strongly. And Wisner stands his ground. I think the second man in there was close to giving away the penalty. Davies using all the tricks in the book, gets it away to Platt. Platt has support from Crouch, and Crouch has numbers out on that far side. Hepworth gets it away to Price, and Price is tackled 7 metres away from the Halifax line, but it's the last one. Watch for Davies and the kick. It'll come across field where Sharif is against 2, and it'll come down in Sharif's favour, will it? Castleford try to keep the ball alive. There's problems here, and there's going to be a third try as Michael Shenton stretches out of the tackle. Well, Halifax have only themselves to blame. Sharif left exposed on this side of the field. Best he could hope for was a knockback inside. It went in the favour of Castleford. And Shenton still had work to do. And there were hands on him on a couple of occasions. But the winger stretching out and managing to get over the line, and Halifax concede a third try, and Castleford rattling up at a point a minute, or just over that average at the moment. Well, Craig Hubie with his third conversion, already kicked one from here, sneaked it inside the upright, and that one has gone right over the top. It doesn't ease Halifax's problem. Magnificent start for Castleford, 16 points to 0, 14 minutes gone. And Castleford once again pushing Halifax back. Davies, the architect, skipping out of the tackles and then putting these monstrous kicks downfield which are forcing Halifax back. And Fletcher back up to the 20, Wayne Price calling to the referee to make the players get up a bit quicker. And Price it is that takes the tackle. Watini. Fisher knocking him out of his stride. Larder finishing the tackle off on the Tigers 40. Again they come forward, this time with Craig Hubie almost up to halfway. Watini again. Running from short distance but still effective as he brings 3 defenders in. Last tackle. And that one will drop into touch from Henderson, a yard away from the corner flag. Halifax will be at the advantage at the scrum, but they're 10 metres away from their own line. David was looking to get Byron Smith on, former Halifax player. Wisner gives it to Bunyan. Bunyan tries to get Halifax out of the danger area. Ran 20 but didn't make so many as Corcoran. falls to the tackle of Epworth. Bunyan again thought about the pass to Spink, but Castleford moving in numbers and restricting Halifax's go forward. Jason Bolt slips two. Gibson on his shoulder, couldn't get the ball away. Halifax back up to halfway. Hobson, straight wild pass from Hobson. Blackwood goes down before being forced into touch, but Halifax lose ground. It's the last tackle. Wisner, well, he looked for the 20, but the ball sails straight into touch, and Wisner's becoming very frustrated at what's happening to Halifax, just having a go at Andy Hobson there for the pass that went behind the advancing line, and Castleford are given another opportunity to go forward. And Kane quickly marked by Fisher there as Byron Smith drives it forward. Back within 12 metres. Henderson chipping the ball out to Davis. Davis to Platt. Platt manages to stand in the tackle and get it back inside to Davis. Davis gets the ball away. Try. Davis once again out to Kane. Kane turns it back inside to Crouch, who's eventually all down by 2-3 metres away. Last tackle. Davis drills one through on the floor, and that one, I think he went through the legs of Gibson. Castleford supporters thinking it may have been touched there. Well, Halifax hold out for once under pressure. They spend a lot of time in their own half of the field. Such is the enthusiasm that Castleford are playing with this afternoon, looking to avenge that defeat. Larder gets the ball away, and it comes loose off Chris Morley, I think it is. No, it weren't Morley, was it? No, it's not. Damien Ball. Morley still sat on the bench. Farrell's been warming his subs up, but decided not to put any on yet, as John Epworth gets through two and almost through the third. And Halifax really struggling to compete with this Castleford outfit this afternoon. It'll certainly look a different side to the one which played it at the beginning of April. Totally dominated on that day, but it's the other way around this afternoon. Kane, well, there were dummy runners. Kane kept hold of the ball, and eventually there's 4 Halifax men in there involved in that tackle. That hasn't done them any good, because now Castleford have men out wide on that far side. Bunyan unable to stop Tommy Hockey. And Hockey eventually altered 22 metres away. Davis has runners. Craig will be unable to keep hold of the ball. Well, there's 1 or 2 Halifax players there looking a little bit out of breath, trying to get the lungs full of air. Henderson asking for clarification of Colin Morris on something. Blackwood. Corcoran to Damien Ball. Andy Hobson off as Tuilangi comes on for Halifax, his first appearance. I think it was at Hull KR, the last game he played in. Spink wants to get on with it. Castleford not in a rush to get hold of him. Larder running out wide, but Castleford defence moving across. And Michael Shenton all over David Larder there. He might get another go now as well, as Larder drives it forward over halfway. Blackwood inside to Fisher. Last tackle. Wisner will drill it through again and give Price the invite to run it out of defence. He pops it up for Michael Platt, and Platt fancied the run round the outside, couldn't make it round tackle of Bunyan. Price again involved, looking to help out the forwards, carrying the ball forward. Byron Smith, a willing runner. Good tackle from Spink, but here comes Castleford again over the advantage line. You'll be taking the inside pass. Crouch moves it out to Davies, and Davies puts Hockey in the gap. Only Gibson to beat, and he has done. Tuilangi's not making the effort, and Tommy Hockey has scored the fourth Castleford try. And Tommy Hockey stepped inside there and brushed Damien Gibson away. And the Castleford supporters thinking and singing that it's so easy. And it is up to now. 20 minutes gone. It's Halifax 0, Castleford 20. So Craig Ewby from under the post. A third conversion for the second rower. And Halifax, well, it's hard to see a way back. They've had no possession. They've not been in the Castleford half of the field with the ball, apart from a couple of occasions. And every time Castleford have the ball, they have willing runners, and they're making it over the advantage line every single time. But Hockey striding through there, perfect inside pass. Well, David Woods has done his homework and done it well, and his game plan is reaping big rewards for the Tigers early in this first half. As Ewby drives through, look for somebody to pass to. Crouch, the Australian loose forward, takes it over halfway. Here comes Davies. We'll put boot to ball again, and he'll open it, stand up for Gibson, and it will do. Gibson behind his own line and brings the ball back into play. And the shouts of a voluntary tackle there as James Haley tries to go around the outside of Wayne Price. Gibson running the ball in again for Halifax. Well, he needs some work from the forwards. Sharif. There's no way through. Halifax need to get the ball out of the danger area. Now they've gone with the forwards, and Larder. Fifth tackle. Wisner. Well, straight down the towards the full-back Platt. He misses it and has to go back 10 metres to collect it. And it's a good chase. And it's Wisner, the kicker, that comes up with the tackle. Trying to lead from the front is Pat Wisner. Morley on for Halifax to replace Jason Bolts, and Paul Anforth on for Castleford. But Castleford once again over halfway. Henderson, good tackle from Tuilagi, the fifth of this set. Davis will kick off the outside of the boot, and there's chasers there, and it could be bouncing here for Castleford. For Andy Kane it is, and Shenton's picked it up off the floor again, and Shenton scored off a scramble. Andy Kane just threw it out the back door despairingly. Couldn't have known who was behind him, but Shenton picks up on the scraps again from another kick from Davis. And Michael Shenton, second try of the afternoon. And this is the worst nightmare for Anthony Farrell. But when you look here, Kane the standoff, couldn't have had any idea really who was behind him, just threw the ball back. And Shenton following up. Andy Kane takes over the kicking duties for Craig Hubert, who's been replaced. Well, Halifax were going to use Castleford as a benchmark to see how much they've improved. Well, if it's used as last week, I'm afraid it's gone backwards as Kane makes it 28 points to 0 to the Castleford Tigers. And Halifax have no response whatsoever to anything that Castleford throw at them this afternoon. So far, still a point a minute. Well, Halifax get one lucky bounce, but they need to do something with the ensuing dropout from under the post. And really, Castleford Tigers have not. This will be a novelty for them this match because they've not really been tested that much in defence. Tommy Hockey's given the ball to drop out and has managed to drop it just inside the Halifax half as Gibson runs the ball back, steps inside one and gets over the 40. The first time Halifax have been there, and it's not been the last tackle. As Damien Ball tackled by two. Morley. Morley takes it up almost to the 20-metre line. Corcoran, long pass to Wisner. Wisner out to Blackwood. Blackwood gets it away to Sharif, who steps inside one. Sharif going towards the line. There's two men there to hold him up, and Sharif is struggling and battling all the way to the line but can't get the ball down. Blackwood to Wisner. Quick play. Larder off the foot. Will Damien Ball get to it? He has done. And finally Halifax have managed to break the Castleford defence. The first attack they've had on the Castleford line, and they've come up trumps, but it's in a most unexpected way as Sharif tried to stretch over the line. Ball back inside, Castleford out of the blocks quickly. Larder opted for the kick through, and Damien Ball was the first to the ball, touched it down. Halifax's first points. Under the post, it's Halifax 4, Castleford Tigers 28. And Wisner wastes no time in adding the extras to Damien Ball's first try for Halifax.
And will burst the try, sponsored by John Blackburn Direct Mail. Number 7, Pat Wisner.
And not only is that Damien Ball's first try for Halifax, by my reckoning it's the first conversion for Pat Wisner in certainly in competitive football anyway. Bloom, Jones, Lawford and Corcoran the other kickers, and that one has come down with snow on, but it was on a tee that's at least 10 takes the ball 10 inch off the ground. Not sure it's a kicking tee, it looks a lot more like a motorway cone. Sharif tried to take the ball up for Halifax. Will that put a bit of a spring in the step of the men in blue and white as Wisner looks for the space behind Platt, and it bounces up kindly for the fullback, and he plays dangerous game, and that one only just getting to Price. Epworth coming back inside, two shouts a forward pass. Halifax put him down just outside the Tigers 20. Byron Smith, great tackle, but he still manages to get the ball away to Ilange on the second line of defence into Epworth. Well, Halifax certainly trying to muscle up in defence as Byron Smith drives forward again. Last tackle, and Halifax have kept the Tigers in the 40. And Davis, the downtown kick again, which bounces up for Gibson. He gives it inside and gives Haley a run. It's only the Second time I think the wingers touched the ball this half, and the first time he was at this side of the field as Gibson once again tries to do work for the forwards. Sharif playing at centre, almost finding the gap there. Dion Bird hanging on to him. Spink pushing away from two. Wisner gets it to Corcoran. Corcoran steps inside. Not sure that was the right idea, but there are a lot of men stacked over there as Larder manages to knock it backwards. Sharif will come inside again. Can't spin out of the tackle. Blackwood inside to Larder. Larder throws the dummy, gets to the 40. Familiar position for Halifax on the 40. The last tackle. Wisner kicks cross field. There's a tangle on the floor. Platt takes it. There were two men jumped up for it. There's two Castleford men injured. There was a call for an obstruction there on Halifax player. I think Dion Bird got the worst of that, as Crouch brings it forward for the Tigers. Just over the half-hour mark in the first half. Halifax 6, Castleford Tigers 28. An absolute nightmare of a start for Anthony Farrell's men. And David Woods, this surely beyond his wildest dreams so far at the Shea, as Davis opts for the long kick again. Gibson underneath it, and Gibson looks up and it's all orange shirts in front of him, and then Gibson gets back over the 20. Haley once again coming looking for work. Morley the dummy runner. Larder takes the ball up 8 metres from halfway. Corcoran gives it inside to Tuilangi, who was easily felled by Byron Smith there on halfway. Wisner with runners, gets it out to Blackwood, and Blackwood is hammered by Dion Bird as Sharif puts it inside to Wisner on the last tackle. Wisner puts one up for Flat. Now there's a bit of a wind swirling about, but it's nothing to trouble Michael Platt as he tries to bring it out of defence. Steps away from Corcoran, and there's a big space opened up for the full-back, and he takes full advantage of it, carrying the ball up 8 metres from halfway. Price will look at the retreating defence on that far side and try to take advantage, and almost does, as a last-ditch desperate tackle from Fisher brings him down. And here come Castleford again. Davis firing the ball out to Andy Kane, and Castleford back in that Halifax 20-metre area again. And Davis stepping, gets the ball away. Kane with little options, and it's a good job Spink had all of him, because it looked as though he might have created something there. Davis puts the ball on the floor. Tuilangi goes to pick it up and knocks it on. Castleford will get 6 more as Crouch steps round 2, forces his way to the line, and Halifax under the cost. If nobody out there on that far right hand side, as Henderson fires the ball out, Tuilangi gets across. Should have been a 4-pointer there. Epworth gives it out to Price. It will be now, as Price squeezes in at the corner, and Halifax gain a little bit of momentum, only to have the steam knocked out with Castleford surging downfield again after another Davies kick. Tuilangi unable to get down to the ball and pick it up, knocking it on, giving Castleford 6 more. And really they should have been in earlier than that, but they were still caught that left hand side, or the Castleford's left hand side, even when they'd got players there, and Price squeezed in at the corner. So Castleford maintaining the stranglehold on this game with a big score. Coming up to half time. And Kane left with a kick. Must be almost on the touchline at that far side. Once again, Halifax struggling to deal with Castleford throwing the ball about. And Kane Only just struggling with the kick, only just failing.
Castleford substitution replacing number 15.
So the gap stays at 26, Halifax 6.
Halifax substitution support.
Castleford Tigers 32.
Replacing number 12. Andy Speak. Number 16. Ryan McDonald.
Halifax making changes, bringing on Ryan MacDonald. Byron Smith has come off for Castleford. Wisner with a high kick, which could have caused problems on that far side. Hockey trying to take advantage. And once again, Castleford willing runners in the forwards, pushing over the advantage line. Halifax light in defence on this near side as Dion Bird gets it away to Crouch, and Crouch almost through the gap. Wisner comes across and makes the tackle, but Castleford have made 50 metres, and 50 easy metres really. And Larder swinging an arm there at Dion Bird. He missed him, but Dion Bird knew the intent was there as Tuilanga goes for the tackle on Jordan James. Halifax need some more of that from most of the players. As the ball goes high again, Gibson underneath it. And safe despite the on-rushing Anthony Henderson as Sharif comes up. Tries to take the ball out, but Halifax just not being given the room by the Castleford defence, which is working so hard both in defence and worryingly for Halifax are far too good. As Crouch went upstairs there, well, it's MacDonald not being drawn, but he's had a look at Crouch. He went in, I did Steve Crouch on the Halifax replacement there, but it's the last tackle. And Wisner will be forced into the kick again. It's on the floor, and now there's problems because Halifax won't be able to get back in. Certainly not for Epworth. They might have caught Jordan James, but Epworth has touched down. Well, Wisner trying something different. It didn't come off. And Halifax were already going forward when Jordan James picked the ball up. And it looked as though Jordan James would have been caught, but he had Epworth in support. And Epworth in at the corner. Seventh Castleford try. And the sun certainly shining on Castleford. And their supporters to the right hand side, who've just taken Halifax apart in this first half and made it look so easy. David Woodside, and this is not about nothing to do with Castleford being the fitter of the sides, being fully professional. This is Castleford being the more professional. The way they've just picked away the Halifax defence, run through at ease, and posted those 7 tries, to which Andy Kane adds on a 5th conversion. Halifax 6, Castleford Tigers 38. Almost up to the 40 minutes. And nothing that Halifax could do against a rampant Castleford side. And the boos of the Halifax supporters, I think, are for the players. As Pat Wisner calls his players together in the middle of the field. Well, they're leaving the field together. That's not the way they've been for the first 40 minutes, as Castleford have absolutely run riot with 7 tries from Bird, Henderson, Shenton, Hockey, Shenton with 2, Price and Epworth, 5 conversions shared between Newby and Kane. All Halifax had to answer was a try from ball, conversion from Wisner. Half time at the Shea, it's Halifax 6, Castleford Tigers 38.